survival.
That is the sound that we heard just 3 days later on March 3rd at 6:16 a.m. on Mr. Kendrick Lamar's Instagram page. So on that Friday, literally 3 days after Euphoria was dropped, Kendrick posts this on Instagram, a song on Instagram. And it was posted at 6:16 a.m. And the title in itself has a few different meanings. So let's go ahead and kind of break down the different meanings of the title. So the first one is a little bit more like noticeable or obvious. Drake often will release timestamp songs. And so he has one like 5 a.m. in Toronto, 4 p.m. in Calabasas, and a few other ones. And basically, these songs are literally timestamps of when he wrote these songs and where. And sometimes they kind of relate to what he's going to talk about in the songs, or like where he was when he talks about the things in the songs, if that makes sense. But basically, these songs are Drake kind of doing a little bit more storytelling and just like straight rapping in the songs. So Kendrick is using Drake's own, again, his own style to kind of rap to him. And he's gonna have the same type of like flow that Drake has in these kind of songs. And then a few other meanings of the 616 in LA. One of them, Drake and Kendrick met on June 16th, 616. That was like the first time that they met back in what, 2011, 2012. And then another one, another possible meaning is Father's Day in Canada is on 616. And we know that Kendrick is, or both of them kind of, have been bringing family into the mix during this beef. And there's like this ongoing theme of Drake being a deadbeat or just like not really claiming maybe other possible kids that he has out there, or initially Adonis either. So maybe this could be Kendrick also kind of trolling him with that as well. June 16th was also when Euphoria was dropped, which is the show I had mentioned earlier that Drake was a part of. And then What's the Dirt pointed out that the six could be in reference towards six God, which is how Drake often refers himself. This is, yeah, he often refers himself as the sixth God. And then the 16 part of it could be in reference towards him kind of talking to and eventually dating younger women, specifically 16-year-olds. In 2016, Drake met a model, Bella Harris, and at the time she was 16. And then a couple years later, when she was of age, they went on a date. And there's photo evidence of this, of them together. So we know that obviously Drake was talking to her while she was a minor and grooming her until she was able to be of age. And then 616 is also Tupac's birthday, so this could also be Kendrick kind of paying homage to Tupac. There's a couple of other like theories going around about the meaning behind 616, but some of them were kind of like reaching, and I'm a reacher. I like to reach. But some of them were, I was like, I don't know about that. Like, I'm gonna keep it in the back of my head for sure. And if you are right, like that's crazy. But it may not be as realistic. um, and then, so that's just the title, like all the different possible trolls, meanings just in the title. Then we see this cover art. And the cover art is a picture of black gloves that have the emblem MM. And looks like Maybach Music, which is Rick Ross's like label. And this could be Kendrick kind of showing Drake like, hey, I have something, which we will come to find out that Drake really did have in possession. So how would Kendrick be able to get that unless he has someone working for him in OVO. And we didn't know what the rest of the picture would be, but the gloves are on behind like the shirt, which again, we will find out later the full picture and what it all means. And then getting into like once we actually get into the beat of the song, the sample is Al Green's song What a Wonderful Thing Love Is. And Drake's uncle, Teeny Hodges, plays the guitar on that song. So Kendrick is also, again, bringing Drake's own family in to kind of troll him, even just through the beat. And then on top of that, Al Green and Teddy Pendergrass both had an album called Back to Back Hits. And remember, Kendrick uses Teddy Pendergrass in Euphoria, I think it was. So he's using, the back to back hits, and here we have back to back hits. And remember, he says, back to back, I like that record. I'm gonna get back to that for the record. So here we are, back to that for the record. Into the song. So as I mentioned, you can hear in the beginning like that ventilator. It sounds to me kind of like some type of ventilator. And there were like multiple theories going around about what this sound could be. People were saying that it was the V12 sound of the machine that they use for liposuction, which it's like kind of, it could be. So I asked my friend who was in the military and also has like some experience with medical machines what they thought it sounded like, and they said to them it sounded like when you have surgery and they keep like the machine on to keep your blood pumping. So it could be that. I don't know. I don't think we or people know exactly what it could be, obviously. But also around this time, there was an account that popped up on Twitter with the name Ebony Prince 20K 2K24, and they people were also reposting their tweets on here because I don't have a Twitter, so I was listening or watching the videos on here to see what they were posting. And this person was posting like video footage from the Mark Hotel, which is this like really famous hotel that a bunch of celebrities go to, and just like more personal videos and things like pictures that only someone who is close to Drake or in Drake's camp would have, or unless, someone like sold these or whatever. And they posted a video or a picture of Drake and people from his camp with this guy. He's like an interviewer, I think, or he like talks about music. His name is Christopher Alvarez, and he has a skeletal disorder. And so there's people were kind of thinking that maybe Drake and his camp did something to this guy, and that was the sound in the beginning. One last thing about the beat before we get into the lyrics. This beat was also co-produced by Jack Antonoff, which is Taylor Swift's producer, and Drake on Taylor Made Freestyle made it seem like Top made Kendrick collab with like Taylor and other pop artists in order to be like relevant or to get sales. So into the lyrics finally. As you heard, Kendrick is kind of saying like, yeah, in behind or after the beat, the little like ventilator sound. Then we hear the it's survival. And I don't know, like the way the beat comes in during that time, it literally makes me feel like Kendrick is like laying on the bed. And when he sings that, he's just like, his soul is just like lifting up into the earth. I mean, into the heavens. um, but here, this could be like going back all the way to the Buried Alive interlude. Remember how you mentioned that Kendrick, in a way, like dies at the end? This could be him being reincarnated and surviving this and coming out in, on the other end that he had been kind of talking about in the Buried Alive interlude. This could also be a reference towards Drake's survival song that's in, I think, Scorpion. And in that song, he throws a couple disses out to a couple different people, but Kendrick is one of those on the song. Then Kendrick says, I think somebody lying, smell somebody lying. I don't see no fire. Let me get into the verse. First line, he says, off-white sunseeker at the marina. So it's important to point out here that oftentimes, and I think I've mentioned this before, Kendrick will take on the perspective of somebody else in his songs. In this case, in this first verse, Kendrick is taking on the perspective of Drake. He's rapping from Drake's perspective. So he says, off-white sunseeker at the marina. So if you're a sunseeker, this means that you are constantly like going somewhere that where there's sun, meaning that you're kind of like pale. If you're off-white, you're pale, and you're probably trying to chase the sun in order to tan. So surface level, this is again Kendrick kind of like trolling Drake for being pale, which again, him bringing up his skin color is not the basis of Kendrick's diss. It's more that he's just not from the culture. But Sunseeker is also a luxury yacht service, and Drake has been seen on their yachts often, but specifically he was seen with Millie Bobby Brown on the yacht. There's a picture taken of him and Millie Bobby Brown on a yacht. And if you don't know the lore behind Millie Bobby Brown and Drake, Millie Bobby Brown, when she was just 13 in Stranger Things, talks about how she had been talking to Drake. And there's a famous interview out there where the interviewer asks her, like, what do you and Drake talk about? And she's like, we just kind of talk about boys, like, he'll give me advice on boys, and then he'll just say, like, oh, I miss you, wish I was there. Like, you don't say that to a 13-year-old as a, what, he was like 36 at the time, maybe 34. Like, what are you doing? I don't even, like, I can't even imagine talking to someone that young about whatever it is, unless they were like my little brother or little sister. And even in that case, like, I'm not gonna talk to, like, my little brother is 13. I don't really talk to him about girls. One, I just don't want to talk to him about it. I don't want to know. If you were to come to me and ask me, like, hey, I really want to talk to this girl, like, can you give me advice? Of course I'm going to talk to him. But, like, if I was, like, talking to some other random, like, 13-year-old, no, I'm just not going to do it. So it's just weird. And why is she on the boat with you? Why is she on a yacht with you? Then the Sunseeker yacht service also has a line of yachts called the Predator, which is very interesting. And then lastly, Virgil Abloh's, who has the clothing line Off-White, his 2022 Louis Vuitton fashion show, in the background, the music that was playing was Tyler the Creator's Sunseeker. So here there's a loaded line. Then Kendrick says, fuck a Phantom, I like to buy yachts when I get the fever. So a Phantom is a type of Rolls Royce, which is the type of car that Drake has. He has like a bunch of them. And the fever in here is in regards to being with underage women. Drake has a song called Teenage Fever, and in it he's like, this shit feel like teenage fever. I'm not scared of it, she ain't either. But like, knowing that he literally has been talking to underage women and teenagers is just not cute. The song not cute. As wine cooler spill on my white t-shirt, the sightseer. So we know that Drake's favorite drink is wine cooler. He likes very like girly, sweet type of drinks.
Why would you do this?
She's giving Drake.
Actually, I'm like shaky, bitch, because I'm weak.
Literally wine coolers. And he told a story to an interviewer that this started because he had a friend, his mom's friend, that he was really infatuated with when he was younger, like 15, that gave him a wine cooler. And honestly, like the story that he tells, it was giving very much so grooming. The story is giving very much grooming. And then at the end of telling the story, he says, so, I had to keep that a consistent theme. So he's often seen drinking wine coolers or like wine. And when it says spill on my white t shirt, the sightseer. So Madison Beer, who is a young artist, she shared a story about how she went to one of Drake's parties and she was 17 at the time, mind you. She says that when they went to the bathroom in Drake's room, and Drake was with her while she was going to the bathroom in his room, a girl tripped and spilled vodka cranberry on him. And so Kendrick could be referencing this specific incident that Madison Beer was talking about. Again, he's rapping from Drake's point of view. And that video you saw there was me caught in the wild roasting an Aubrey's angel. My coworker was having a brunch. I mean, my coworker. My best friend was having a brunch for her birthday, and she invited her coworker. And everything was going well until he said that he was an Aubrey angel, and then proceeded to heavily disrespect Kendrick. And so he was able to get me out of, my calm state. I was a bit riled up. So if you saw me in the wild that day, please excuse. But if you're an Aubrey angel and I catch you out, you will get roasted. Kendrick continues, trifecta, money, morals, and culture. That's my leisure. So a trifecta is in reference towards horse betting. So when you bet on three horses and you have to get like the correct order and like who you think will win. So you have to get number 1, 2, and 3 correct in order to win the bet. And so here for Drake, in Drake's perspective, money is his first priority, his first winner. Morals is his second, and culture is his last. And then he says, my visa passport tatted. I show hub in Ibiza. So it's important that I point out that Kendrick says, when he says I show up, it kind of sounds like hub, alluding to there being some sort of hub in Ibiza. This is a little bit more of a reference, allegedly, towards some sex trafficking claims that are going around. Passport tatted, meaning that he is traveling the world, and we know that Drake is always in Ibiza. He's always talking about Ibiza in his songs, and he is always there, and it is the party capital of Europe. But in Pipe Down specifically, Drake references getting your passport tatted, or tatted up your passport. Luke Hallis dwellings in Brooklyn just to book me some pizza. So Luke Hallis is an upscale pizza place in New York, and Drake will often kind of throw out references like this in his timestamp songs of like, I'm here in this restaurant, like doing this. Because then he says, who could reach us? Only God could teleport this type of freedom. And I think this is kind of where it ends from Drake's perspective. And then now we're getting into from Kendrick's perspective. Kendrick comes in with kind of this sing-songy voice and he goes, God, my confession is yours, but who am I if I don't go to war? And I feel like this is him kind of confessing to God before he goes into war and kind of like shows full on hatred. And just kind of like is not immoral because to me in my eyes at the end of the day it's for a good cause, and sometimes you just gotta hate. you know but that's kind of how I feel this part is. And I put here Kendrick is speaking to God, clearly battling with the idea of exposing and hitting Drake harder, and really kind of peeling back the layers, like he says, of the industry in general. I mean, since this, we have seen so much more come out. And so, I mean, I'm not saying that this is solely because of Kendrick, but like it does make us kind of open our eyes a little bit more, maybe, or pay a little bit more attention. So I don't know. This part is just really like it gives me the chills every time. I feel like in general, this song Kendrick is kind of prophesizing. I don't know how you say that on this song. And it's a really special song. I'm really glad that we got this out of I'm acting like this is the end of the song. He says there's opportunity when living with loss. And I feel like he's just talking to Drake here, like when you have a lot of loss in your life, or maybe like this is, maybe considered a loss, but not even just that. I feel like loss of ego, things like that. There's opportunity to change. He says, I discover myself when I fall short. So he's saying, like, when I maybe fail or when I fall short on something, it's an opportunity for me to take a step back and kind of look at myself and reevaluate things. And that's why, like, I finally kind of, it clicks for me why people say, like, you need failure sometimes. You need to fail so that you know what success is like, but also, like, what it takes to get there. And Kendrick is kind of like expressing that. Raise my hands to a fallen sky, I fantasize. So a fallen sky, it's kind of it's the aftermath of a disaster. So Kendrick is really painting us a picture here of him kind of standing, like I'm picturing this literally, him kind of standing in this aftermath of exposing all of this and kind of um, just causing a little frenzy. um, but also kind of like struggling and fantasizing about his legacy and how he wants to be remembered. And then he says, me jumping planets immortalized, I correspond. So after he's been in this kind of state where he's fantasizing, he then goes and maybe gets into this plan of how he's gonna go about this, how he's gonna start exposing, how he's gonna get a little bit more specific and catch our attention so that we're talking and things like that, putting two and two together. Three angels watching me all the time. I believe this could be a few different references for the three angels. It could be maybe Whitney and his kids. Those could, be the three angels that are watching him all the time. This could also be three angels that he often refers to in his music: Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael from the Bible. And then What's the Dirt pointed out that Kendrick lost three of his friends: Brad, Brad, Puppy, and Chad. And so those could also be the angels that he's talking about, watching him all the time. Put my children to sleep with a prayer, then close my eyes. Definition of peace. So Kendrick is just saying, like, my definition of peace is being able to come home to my family and my kids and, say a prayer with them and put them to sleep safely. Proving that, he's there with his kids, he's not a deadbeat, and he's not trying to have his kids be like as famous as he is. Whereas, like, Drake is trying to get Adonis to be like more famous, which I know that that is like a common thing for Nepo babies. Like, I get that, but that's just kind of what is pointed out here in this line. Tell me who gonna stop me? I come from love. And I love this line so much because I just felt it. Like, I have such a loving support system that I'm so, so blessed with. And the camera's like bouncing. They are constantly pouring love into me. And so it's easy for me to give love out and to love people. So I mean, I'm not gonna say easy, but I have a lot of it to give to people that I do trust and want to allow myself to give that love to. But in general, I do love and I want the best for people. Then he says, Estelle, cover my heart, then open me up. So Estelle is Kendrick's grandma. So I think he's kind of just talking about kind of how his grandma maybe gave him her blessings and things, like telling us like his grandma is protecting him. He has protection. Remember when picked up a pen, lyrics that I can trust. So he can be telling Drake here like, you need to pick up the pen and you actually write instead of calling on these other people. But also saying that he, showing us again that he writes his own stuff and kind of just painting this picture of him reminiscing back to the old days. Timid soul, stare in the mirror, asking where I was from. So you can really like picture him in the mirror, really like kind of scared, like, damn, what am I going to do with this? Like, I know I have this talent, but what am I going to do? And I'm, from this small, not small place, but I'm this small person, maybe he felt like, and just kind of questioning, I guess, what his role is. Probably gonna end here for the night because I do need to sleep. We have a guest with us tonight. This is my Squishmallow Piglet. I feel like one of those teachers when they're like, okay, friends, grab your favorite squishy and join me on the reading corner. But for real, if you have a Squishmallow, go ahead and grab it for these videos. And if you don't have one and you're an adult, I highly suggest you get one. No, it's not weird. It's actually a very healthy self regulation tool. If maybe you have an overactive, regulation, nervous system, or maybe you just have a hard time controlling yourself, get you one of these. They come in various different characters, various different foods, everything for men, women, theys, thems, everybody can get you a Squishmallow. Now, this is not sponsored, so let me get into this music. Left off with Kendrick kind of like fantasizing about what the power that he is going to go on to hold, what that means, and what he wants to do with it. He says, uh, often I know this type of power is gonna cost, but I live in circadian rhythms of a shooting star. So, circadian rhythms is the physical, mental, and behavioral changes that someone experiences within 24 hours. And then shooting stars, they move at like an unusually high velocity, which gives them that like glow effect when we see a shooting star. So Kendrick is saying he moves faster than, his colleagues in the game, and he's a little bit more unique in the way that he is in general, the way that he incorporates different things in his music and his art. Just unique. The mannerisms of Raphael, I can heal and give you art. So Raphael could be the Italian painter that painted the famous Renaissance painting, and it could also be in reference towards the angel Raphael that I mentioned Kendrick is always talking about. And Raphael specifically is the protector and healer angel. And so Kendrick is saying here, like, my art is not only of good quality and I'm able to give you like beautiful, meaningful art, but listening to his music can also heal you in a way. And like I've said, a lot of Kendrick fans or people in general who have listened to Kendrick songs and can connect to them are able to kind of heal through that. Music is healing. But the industry's cooked as I pick the carcass apart. So when someone says like they're cooked, it's kind of like a slang term for like you're dead. Like after a workout, you might be like, I'm cooked. Or like after a long day at work, you might be like, I'm cooked. Like I'm dead. So he's saying the industry is dead. It's could also be like a facade. It's a facade. It's not really what people think it is. He says, yeah, somebody's lying. I can see the vibes on Ack. So AC is in reference towards academics, who I believe he's like a radio personnel. I've never really liked academics, so I don't pay attention to him or follow him. But he's supposedly on the payroll for Drake, and he is like head of the Aubrey Angels. And during this beef, he was like live streaming like reactions and things like that to the songs and talking about it. And during one of them, there was a or like a video that someone sent him, and he opened up the video and you can hear in the stream like a woman like screaming, and it sounds like she's saying like help, and then he like closes it and ends the stream, and everybody was like, what the heck, like what was that, blah blah blah. Come to find out, these past few weeks the lawsuit has come to light that academics and some more of his friends brutally abused this woman. And I'm not going to go over the details because honestly, it's very triggering. And I just don't want to be triggered. And I don't want to trigger y'all. So, I'm not going to go into it, but it's really disgusting. And, like, again, Drake is surrounded by people with weird cases and has people with weird cases on his payroll. Even he looking compromised. Let's peel the layers back. And Let's Peel the Layers Back is something that Pusha T said on the story of Adenon, where he exposes Drake for being a dead. Ain't no brownie points for beating your chest, harassing Ant. So Ant is Kendrick's manager. I'm guessing Drake must have been harassing Ant maybe for like information. I don't know. This part is kind of really cryptic. He says, effing with good people make good people go to bat. And I like this line. It's just like, for real though. Like, if you're going to mess with someone who's good hearted, who's, comes out of the kindness of their heart to do things for the most part, um, good people, other good people are going to come up to bat for you. And we kind of saw this on TikTok recently with the whole Jules situation and that one lady who was like, came on here like bullying out of nowhere. Like, girls. Sees about Cash Dog, that's not even the leak. So Cash is the Weeknd's manager, and so there may be something there that Kendrick is hinting at, but it could also be in reference towards like actual Cash that Drake mentions, like his splits or whatever, and so he's saying like conspiracies about these splits. But when he says Cash Dog during one of Academics' streams, another one, there was a video playing, and it was like this dog making weird noises, like not normal noises. So we don't know what that is, but I mean, looking at the past weeks and what has come out about academics, I don't put anything past him, unfortunately. Kendrick says, find the jewels like Cash Doll. I just need you to think. So again, he's being very cryptic, and like right now, only Drake is gonna know what Kendrick is talking about right here. But the Ebony Prince 20K 2K24 page on Twitter also posted a bunch of photos of Jules, and Jules are like involved in this beef like heavily. The Tupac ring, Pharrell's necklaces, and just like Drake always bringing Jules into this. So there must be something going on with some type of jewels or something with a jewelry. um, or this could just be Kendrick saying like you need to find the jewels within the music, the songs, or whatever it is that you know I'm trying to tell you, so you can get it in your head. But Cash Doll is a rapper whose chains were stolen. Her jewelry was stolen from her, and the person that stole it was someone really close to her that she trusted. So again, Kendrick is telling Drake, like, there's a mole. OVO is compromised. And he says, are you finally ready to play Have You Ever? Let's see. Have you ever thought that OVO was working for me? So here, that's where he kind of like outright says it, like, yeah, there's someone close to you that I know that's working for me. And again, I put here, is it sizzle? Like, I know that that's probably reaching. I don't know, it's kind of fun to like play into and just fake bully. I hate bullies. You must be a terrible person. Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it. So Kendrick is telling Drake, like, you're just not a good person. Even the people in your own circle are telling other people and talking about you behind your back, saying that you deserve this. Can't Tootsie slide up out of this one is just going to resurface. So back in 2020, this was the first time that the video of Drake kissing the 17-year-old on stage during one of his concerts surfaced online. And instead of addressing this, Drake dropped Tissy Slide, which had us doing the right foot up, left foot slide. And so Kendrick is saying, with the allegations that are going to come out now, with the information that's going to be exposed now, you're not going to be able to Tissy Slide. Just drop a cute little bop and have us dancing. Mm-mm. Every dog gotta have its day. Now live in your purpose. And I just kind of want to highlight how Kendrick used the word dog again here. Obviously, Drake has referenced himself to, dog for all the dogs, things like that. But now that we know about this academics video with the dogs, I wonder if it could also be hinting towards something like that. It was fun until you started to put money in the streets, then lost money because they came back with no receipts. So Drake put money out in the streets to try and get information, as I mentioned before, on Kendrick. But Kendrick is saying, you didn't even, like, you lost that money because there's nothing out there to get. I'm sorry that I live a boring life. I love peace, but war ready if the world is ready to see you bleed. So again, Kendrick lives a peaceful life now and has worked to get to that point, but he is ready to go to war and go into this if we, the people, and other rappers, and are ready to see you bleed. The Elohim KTW. So Elohim again is the Hebrew word for God. For KTW, I don't know what that means. I haven't found an answer to what this is. Maybe only Drake will know this. If you know what KTW might mean, feel free to put it in the comments. But haven't been able to find the answer to that. You can't sleep. These images trouble you. No, the wires in your circle should puzzle you. So Kendrick is kind of painting this picture of Drake not being able to sleep. All of this cryptic information, the images that are coming out are kind of haunting Drake. And when he says wires in your circle, again, another reference towards working with the feds or just having like a wire within his circle, someone within his circle that is bugged. If you were street smart, then you would have caught that your entourage is only to hustle you. So Drake is always surrounding himself with street like people, but he's not from the streets. And so Kendrick is saying, like, if you were really from the streets, if you were really street smart, you would understand what's going on here, that the people in your circle are just to hustle you. 100 ends that you got on salary, and 20 of them want you as a casualty. And one of them is actually next to you. I put his security guard. And two of them is practically tired of your lifestyle. Just don't got the audacity to tell you. So is the security guard the mole? Like, why did Kendrick specifically point out someone being right next to Drake? Let me tell you some game, cause I can see you, my lil homie. So period, Kendrick is getting Drake back and little homieing him. But he's saying, let me give you some advice. You playing dirty with propaganda, it'll blow up on you. So here the propaganda is the TD 50-50 splits, the Whitney beating allegations, and all of these false allegations that Drake was claiming about Kendrick. You're playing nerdy with Zach Bia and Twitter bots. So Zach Bia is a DJ that Drake was posting with, and in 2020 when he posted, or when he came out with Tissy Slide, it was on Zach Bia's stream that he first played it. But your reality can't hide behind Wi-Fi. So Kendrick's saying, like, your real life and what you have to experience in real life cannot hide behind these online platforms, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, that you stay trying to be on, either tweeting or dropping things, like doing just random things. He uses whatever he can to manipulate the masses and the outside persona to not have this view about him and have this information come out. Your little memes is losing steam. They figured you out. The forced opinions is not convincing. Y'all need a new route. So again, like, after this, I mean, we still see Drake posting memes to this day, and it's like, bro. And then when you're dropping diss songs, you're not being direct. At this point, you're gonna have to be direct because Kendrick is being straight up and calling you out, putting people's names in these songs. And you're like, you can't just be posting memes that, like, this is no, it's not working. And it was said that UMG had paid off people to say good things about Drake, only good things about Drake's and the songs that he was dropping around this time. It's time that you look around on who's around you. Before you figure that you're not alone, ask what Mike would do. So, You're Not Alone was a song that was written by R. Kelly. It was Michael Jackson's song, the No, You're Not Alone. um, but we know that Michael Jackson's doctor was the one who ended up killing him. And so it was someone close to him that he trusted in his circle. So Kendrick is saying, telling Drake, like, before you figure that, you know, there's all these people around you when really you may be alone, you need to ask what Mike would do if he had the opportunity, if he knew what was coming for him. And that is the end of 666. So, like I said, like, I don't know if it was no, and I know it wasn't just that, like, the aura around this time was just so hype, but like this song, I I don't know. I just felt chill, like I just got instant chills listening to the song. Um and so imagine this was early Friday morning. I wake up, I'm listening to the song, I'm freaking out. I'm like, we get another Kendrick song. I'm still over here, like, in heaven with Euphoria, continuing to replay it. So I'm replaying 616 in LA, I'm replaying Euphoria on my way to work, and then around lunchtime, we get another surprise.